Punktorah Productions. Sponsored by Darshan Yeshiva.
Judaism has a lot to say about family and marriage, and apparently so do divorce attorneys. So this is Andrew Schulz interviewing James Sexton, who you've probably seen all over the dude blogosphere, manosphere, videosphere. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but here's a few clips that I thought were worth looking at. Let's do it.
Marriage originally was designed culturally for the purposes of maintaining land ownership.
I kind of want to,
clans.
I actually, after we get into this discussion, I'd really like to know some of the history of marriage.
Yeah.
Like why it's continued to be around. Like if this is something that didn't have societal utility, I think that we
who were the first people that were like, this is going so great, we should get the government involved. That's fucking weird.
It does seem weird.
Well, let's also remember that for most history, there was no such thing as the government, right? You had tribal chieftains, you had family clans, things like that. So the government is an oversimplification.
That's an interesting thing. Even when my wife were going to get married, I was like, I really don't care that the government knows about this.
You should.
It's important to me that you and I know about this, and we are committing to one another. And I think for them, I think that the idea that the government knows about it makes it feel more real because of like societal expectations or whatever.
But you know, what's an interesting thing I've always found fascinating is if you said to me, you know, Jim, I'm thinking about buying an airplane. If I said, oh, really, why? That's not a rude question.
Yeah.
You would say, oh, you know, I fly a lot and it'd be nice. I wanted to learn how to do it. Okay. If you're dating a girl for a certain period of time, you say to me, you know, Jim, I'm thinking about getting married. And I go, why?
Yeah.
That's rude. Why is that rude? Like, this is a technology that fails 56% of the fucking time.
Yeah.
And let's say there's another 10, 20% that stay together for the kids because they don't want to give away half their shit.
Yeah.
Why is it rude to say to someone, you guys are getting along, you're in love, you're having fun.
Yeah.
Why do you want to get the government involved?
Yeah.
Like, why?
They keep going back to this whole thing of why do you want to get the government involved? And that's not what marriage is about. So yeah, oversimplification again.
What my whole thing is, what is the problem to which marriage is a solution? Like, what is the problem to which marriage is like anything else?
Oh, no, that's actually a very interesting question. And I'm surprised that a divorce attorney can't figure out what is the problem to which marriage is a solution. The only reason to get married, the only reason is the creation of a family. That is it. You do not marry a person because you're having a nice time. You do not marry a person because they have the same hobbies, interests, whatever. You marry someone who shares the same values as you. And so that when you are lying in a hospital bed and someone has to make that horrible decision, you know who's going to make that decision. And that even if it's a decision you wouldn't necessarily make, you love and trust them so much that you would support that. It is someone with whom you have a constant, united front. Has nothing to do with the government.
Else in your life, you could answer that. What is the problem to which this is a solution? It's hard to hold water in my hands, so we need a container for it. What is the problem to which this is a solution? It's nice to be able to talk to people when they're not in the room. Okay, what is the problem to which marriage is a solution? I'm lonely?
No,
marriage doesn't solve that problem.
I agree.
To answer your question, I thought you brought up a really great point when it came to like allocating time with the kids in a divorce, which was like, if a dad has every other weekend, it's kind of looked at like, oh yeah, okay, he's got a job, he's a divorced dad. If a mom is every other weekend, she's looked at like a psychopath, right? So I do think that women that are in long-term relationships but aren't married feel a societal scrutiny.
Sure.
Will he not commit to me? Does he not really love you? Is he trying to protect his money or his assets or something like that? And I think a lot of times that informs their decision to quote unquote get the government involved. It's less about the government. It's more about like, how will society view me as this person's partner?
That is awfully sexist.
Like, and is it a lack of commitment? Which obviously now, like if we remove the emotion from it, we can unpack and go, yeah, it doesn't change anything in that relationship. And you can literally not get married, but you can sign a contract with some lawyer about how assets can be distributed. Like you can have the government play no part of it.
And if you, by the way, don't even know what role the government plays in that, it's kind of a fiction. And by the way, like you trust that Mark is married.
Yeah.
Have you checked the fucking paperwork ever?
Exactly. Yeah. No.
So, okay, so let's do a little thought experiment here. So let's imagine a relationship that is some kind of legal contract that says you are the person's next of kin. and you get to make all of the health decisions. There actually is a separate legal concept for that. It's the healthcare power of attorney. And let's say you also want someone to have financial ability to, kind of help you and can say things on your behalf. Yeah, it's called a financial power of attorney. Let's say you want to go even a step further and you want to say this person has the ability to make decisions when I'm incapacitated for one reason or another about other things, even if they're things that I've said I didn't necessarily want. That's called a durable power of attorney. Let's say that you want to have children and you want to lay out the details of like who's going to marry who's going to raise the kids in what way and how, what's that? Yeah, we have that. It's custody agreements. Okay, but once you have those four things, you have a marriage. Okay, it's like, here's an idea. What if we had this space that people went to, and it's like a building. It's not a synagogue, but it's a building. And let's say there's like a room in there where people pray, but it's not a synagogue, and it has like this cabinet. It's not an ark though, and then we have a Torah scroll in there, but it's not a sanctuary. And then what if outside of that building we had picnic tables, but it's not a synagogue? Like, yeah, it's a synagogue. When you combine all of those things together, it becomes a synagogue. There's an idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And so, yeah, you're basically just talking about a marriage. In fact, for the LGBTQ community, it used to be called a palimony agreement before we had, marriage rights.
Honestly, like if you ever gone to a wedding, and after at the end gone, lovely ceremony, great pigs in the blanket at the cocktail hour. You see the paperwork? Say, well, I'm sorry.
Speaking of pigs in a blanket, if you think having non-kosher food at a Jewish wedding is an interesting question, you should definitely watch Rabbi and Son. My son has a very hot take on that.
Marriage license. I just want to make sure. Like, your parents might not be fucking married. But did you check the paperwork?
I've never looked.
We know about the nurse outfit.
Yeah.
But we don't know about the paperwork.
Yeah, there's still love.
So you're
speaking
by the way,
logically.
have as many fucking weddings as you want, guys. Like, getting married, lots of fun. It's a great party. I'm all for it. I fucking love weddings.
I'm going to make a confession. I don't really like weddings. They're really expensive. So when my wife and I got married, we had already bought a home that we were going to share together, right? So we were kind of paying for the whole wedding except for a dress and a cake. So we just did the cheapest thing possible, man. We rented a dance studio for like 3 hours on like a Sunday at 2:00 in the afternoon. People got stuff from Publix, the kosher Publix grocery store, and we had coffee from the little hipster coffee joint across the street. We didn't even have alcohol. It was the most Methodist Jewish wedding you could possibly have. And it was enough. So my suggestion to anyone who's getting married, don't listen to this guy. The reason why you get married is because you want to have someone be your next of kin above all other people. And when you're under the chuppah, the two of you become soulmates. And every day that you wake up and you look at the other person and you make that decision that that person is your next of kin and that they feel the same, you are continually renewing that relationship and renewing those vows. And by the way, this is why we have a ketubah, because sometimes you got to sign something. If you have any questions about Jewish marriage, if this is a topic that interests you, you got to let us know. Put comments down there, people. We will do whatever you tell us to do, but if you don't tell us, we won't do anything. So that's it. Rabbi reacts.